now that we're back up, a couple things I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you what got you involved into the whole activism. You know, when did this happen? Because the first time I met you, you were always you. I met you last year, but it's like what got you involved in it?
I'm an anthropology major this time around, but I graduated from CCNY like in 1998, and I was a psychology major then, and I was involved, with student government and activists on campus then. I'm pretty much a product of CUNY, and I feel like this is my way of giving back to CUNY, because really CUNY, my participation in the university, or my ability to even attend this university, has changed my life. I would have never been able to attend any Columbia or NYU and gotten what I've gotten here at City College.
Okay. So when you were an undergraduate in the '90s, like, were there any like particular issues that made you? Were you as heavy as activist then as you are now? Were you even an activist at that time?
I wouldn't call myself an activist. I'm more of an agitator, trying to get other people on board with this kind of stuff. But
Okay.
there was there's issues. We all have issues that we care about, and what we got to realize is that the political people that make the laws under which we got to live, they don't really, a lot of them don't really care about us. And if we're not willing to take responsibility and really get involved in that civic role type of stuff, there's no one going to advocate for us, so we literally have to step up, and that's why I agitate other people so that we can step up together, because there's power in numbers.
Okay. As an agitator, what's the main difference do you see from other activists now from in the '90s?
Well, I think that people were like a little more selfless back then. That some folks, they did get expelled, for their activism. So some folks were willing to to risk getting themselves in trouble or getting arrested, and other people are not. But everyone has something they can offer. You don't have to say, I'm going to be an activist, I'm going to run out there and do civil disobedience. There are many ways you can be active. The whole point is to find where you feel comfortable and actually get involved, because if not, we're probably going to go we're on a road going the opposite direction, that tuition increasing, budgets being cut, jobs not paying enough, all kinds of stuff, and we got to make that change.
Okay. One thing you mentioned is I know because I saw this, there was a last semester, I believe 2 semesters ago, there was this big protest in the admin building. It wasn't as big as anything you've seen in television, but for City College it was pretty big, where they had police outside, and where one thing, people don't get involved in activism because they're fear of getting arrested or just legal consequences. Like, is there real fear, I guess, on a student level, on a college level, is there real concern? Like, what could, like, let's say if we protest against the administration, whereas when you protest, don't forget, people are scared, like, oh man, they might do something to me academically. If something happens to me, they'll be like, oh, that's the person. Is this a real legitimate fear?
It is a legitimate fear, especially as a society becomes more repressive, and more authoritarian. You will see an increase in police brutality, which is what communities, disenfranchised and marginalized communities, already experience police brutality. And even when I'll give you an example. There was a security meeting hosted by USG, and I asked them. I was like, well, I asked the representatives there. There's going to be budget cuts. The community centers are closed. There's going to be less jobs for teenagers next summer. So do you expect that there's going to be more some criminal activity or crime? What did they call it? They call it crimes of opportunity. You think there's going to be more crimes of opportunity next summer? And they were like, well, yes, we do. And is it the fault of the people who commit those crimes, or is it the fault of the state for cutting back essential services that are needed? And he was like, well, we're not really here to discuss that. But the reality is, we have to get involved and make sure those services don't get cut, because what else are people going to do? And so once we recognize that there is that fear, then you're conscientious. You do things under the law, and the law does say we have a right to assemble, we have a right to air our grievances, and they have to listen. And if they're not going to listen, we have to get them to listen, and we have to be creative about it.
Right. Well, this is one thing I always find fascinating regarding budget cuts from both sides. As a side of, as a citizen or any person in a governing body, and then from the side of the lawmakers or the rule makers. Whereas in our society in this recession, there's going to be budget cuts. We all know that. Where a lot of parties, no matter what group you're an advocate of, a lot of people saying don't cut to this, whether it's higher education, whether it's smoking or
Social Security.
Like every group is saying don't cut the budget on my department. But I've never seen the real problem is we all know cuts are happening, but I've never seen anyone in any group saying, okay, you should cut to this side. Whereas like, a lot, of course, higher education, no one really wants cuts to education, but we know something has to be cut. Maybe what do you believe? What do you think should be cut?
Well, if you look at the national budget of the United States, and sometimes on the news you might hear these quotes of trillions of dollars and the war budget. I would definitely start there because, first of all, as a voter and a taxpayer, I don't support all. What is the U.S. involved in? Over 5 different engagements, every 5 different wars going on right now. I didn't support any of them, and I didn't support the bailout of Wall Street. And I used to work in finance. I used to work in the World Trade Center, and I didn't. And so our tax money is being diverted out of our communities and into Wall Street and into destroying other people's communities in other countries, and then we're paying a double time when our essential services get cut. So it's like we need to really pick up the slack and do something about it.
All right. Since you said you have a financial background, because I remember when the whole breaks to Wall Street and tax cut to CEOs and corporations, where I guess the justification of it was, it is almost like the trickle down effect in a sense, whereas if these corporations are gonna go down, everyone else will go down as well. But if these corporations are successful, everyone under them, the money will trickle down. So I guess that was the justification of all the tax breaks and the stimulus. But what at that time, I believe, was it 07 was the time of the stimulus,
the stimulus packages?
Yeah, about 08, 07. What do you think would have been the best solution? Because people feared for banks falling down. That's what was the real, and everyone has their money in banks, whereas that's a legitimate fear from everyone. What do you think should have been done by the government at that time?
Well, it's something. None of these things come out of nowhere. The government has been deregulating financial institutions and private institutions even since the time of John F. Kennedy's presidency. But most importantly, in Ronald Reagan's term as president of the United States, that's when they really started deregulating corporations. And now we have people who are still executive members of corporations who are now claiming to be our public representatives. So the problem we have is the government is not regulating. If anything, it has written laws to deregulate these corporations, and now you have people who are in office claiming to be our representatives, like Bloomberg. He's a representative of corporations. This is why they are not regulating the corporations. They are not regulating the wealthy. Like you hear the people say tax the rich. That's what we're talking about. They're the ones with their hands deepest in the cookie jar. They're the ones that need to pay the most.
Yeah, and they're unfortunately not, which is a shame. It doesn't, because people with money usually save money. That's how.
Imagine that, right? And they end up being billionaires now.
And okay, now another thing I want to know, because we're all products of this age of social media. Now 2011, it's already solid, but especially in 2005, 2006, when it was social media, when Facebook was more popular, MySpace and Twitter. Now it's social media has dominated life, especially with the technology and cell phones. How did as being an agitator, as you call yourself, how does the transition of technology and social media affect the way that you agitate people, or in a sense?
Let's take a look at what's happening in Egypt, in Tahrir Square. The government cut off the internet access for a lot of people out there, but yet they still got the word out. Oh my God, how did they get the word out? Well, you do it the old-fashioned way. You print up those flyers and you communicate with people face to face. And you go, and if you knock on doors or if you walk down the street and you share information with people, and you build some consciousness, or you connect with people on these issues. And that's the way it has to be done, because I know that this government would definitely like to control the internet. That's why we we have to protect net neutrality. And even right now, I think this week they're voting on internet-related issues.
Yeah.
And you need to watch out. If you, I'll give you an example of the net-related net neutrality issues. When you go to Facebook and somebody wants you to hear their favorite song, and they put that song there, and all of a sudden the song won't play because it gives you a funny message. This belongs to EMI. You can only play it on YouTube. And now you go to YouTube, and YouTube's telling you have to have a Yahoo account now to, and I was like, that's because they're starting to make those changes.
Yeah, they're trying to legalize.
They're trying to take whatever profit they can and say we still own that piece of intellectual property, and we're gonna juice it as far as we can.
Which one do you prefer now? Like, because I see you have a lot of pages online. You always invite people to events. What do you prefer, social media, a good old, flyers, face to face?
Well, I guess what is the X generation that I come from? And you remember how they were saying
they gave
the Y generation and now the Y me generation?
Yeah,
all this kind of stuff?
never. Yeah,
I didn't understand that either. But I think that, and in retrospect, I think that I'm from that middle generation where the generation before me didn't have any internet access. It didn't exist.
Yeah.
And the generation just after me have everything is internet related. So I think that I have the benefit of being able to use it work it the old-fashioned way and work with it the new-fashioned way.
Okay. But which one do you like better, though?
I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't want to become wholly reliant on the technology. Like, I don't like putting I won't put personal information on the internet. I limit that because I believe in the free speech, and I believe in the protection of the individual, the sovereignty of the individual. So I wouldn't put my phone number there. Like, I'll put a city college phone number on Facebook, but I'm not going to put my phone number.
All right, this is going to be my final statement. Let the city college body know how can they get involved. Tell them about the programs that you're involved in. Let them know. Speak directly to the campus.
Well, you can definitely join USG. The elections are coming up soon, and you can also visit the Asada Shakur Guillermo Morales Community Center in room 3201. That's right downstairs from security office, and you can visit there and find out about issues that you could work on, or if you even have stuff that you're working on, community-related issues or campus-related issues. You can come there and share information and meet with other people and network. And you can also, like I said, there's the Facebook page of CUNY A Mission Deferred. That's a good page to go to. And if you've already friended me on Facebook, you know that the only thing I use my Facebook page for is for political consciousness awareness.
While you speak about USG and SER, like, let's say people are hearing this, they want to get involved some way in the school. Which one do you recommend for them to get involved in, USG or students
if you want to get involved with like the bureaucratic levels of government, and you want to learn about Robert's Rules of Order and how a bill becomes a law, then you would have to go to USG. But if you want to learn community organization and community mobilizing stuff and those types of activities, and you want to learn what exactly is a civil disobedience act, then you would have to go to Students for Educational Rights in the community center there.
All right, thank you again for coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Definitely. People are gonna play a quick musical break. Then we're gonna go all the events NYPIRG is having for the rest of the month. We have a lot of great events, so you can get involved in the school community. Not just only the school community, other communities as well. Because we all need to help each other out. So this is Bernie G signing off for NYPIRG Radio. Next show is gonna be Vivaville Sports.